Oh, I guess it's time for me to begin. I'm just getting done taking my attendance, so making sure everybody was here because, gotta keep that instinct of making sure that Chef Abbott is razor sharp and ready to go. Just like at the beginning of any class, and y'all remember me looking down, looking up, looking down, looking up to make sure everybody was here. Oh, but who am I kidding? Attendance we'll talk about in a second. But hey, gang, just wanted to make sure that y'all are ready for this video. I want you to put your seatbelts on, hold on tight, because this is going to be an amazing day as we continue on with these United States of America and the cuisines that are in it. But first, a couple of things I need to go over. As I started off with attendance, ladies and gentlemen, I am taking attendance. Please make sure that you're checking in with me. How do you know if you've checked in with me? I will give you a big thumbs up to let you know that you have checked in. If you don't see that thumbs up, chances are that means I didn't see you check in. So please make sure that you keep checking in with me, okay? That is how I'm making sure that you're up to date on all your stuff, sending out emails and things like that. Also, in Focus, you will start seeing me checking off attendance in Focus. Please make sure you stick with this to the best of your ability so that way I can also help and keep you in the loop. I don't want y'all getting this too far gone. Look at the face. Notice that you need to do this. So please continue to do this. You know who you are. Hey, in the back, stop talking. All right. I still got to keep that razor sharpness, So y'all know who y'all are who would normally be talking right now. Anyways, the other thing too is class assignments. Please get on those class assignments. Don't get buried. It's very easy in a situation like this to fall behind in your class assignments because you're like, oh, I'll just check in, I won't do anything. Oh, I'll just check in, I won't do anything. And then we're going to get to the end of the 9 weeks and you're buried with work during this time period because you chose not to do anything. Remember, Chef Abbott gives you the grade you earn, not the grade you think you deserve. All right? There's a difference sometimes in what you've earned and what you think you ought to get. Doesn't always add up, all right? Please stay with it, okay? Stick with it. My assignments aren't that hard, okay? These questions are super simple, in my opinion. Please make sure you stick with it, okay? All right, enough of that. We're going to move on. So today we're going to be talking about New England, where I lived for almost 3 years. Great place, very beautiful, rich in history. And that is one thing I'm going to point out as I point out a couple of these items to you as far as food is concerned. Very, very rich in history. Remember, when people were coming over from Europe over to the United States, many of them came to the New England area. That is where we have first settlements here in the United States. Obviously, St. Augustine still being the oldest city in the United States, down just south of us. We have the New England area where people were coming over, not necessarily setting up cities, but as setting up settlements. So that's why you don't hear a lot about those, okay? So a couple things I would like to point out. Obviously, number one, I want to point out beans. Okay, down here in the South, we like our beans salty. I don't know about you, but man, it's doused in salt, maybe some fat back and stuff like that, some hallelujah gravy stuff in there. It's great stuff. Up north, they have their baked beans. You hear it, Boston baked beans. And it's sweeter. Why? Because that leads me to number two, maple sugar. Maple sugar is very, very, very well known and used a lot up in the Northeast. They add plenty of maple sugar to their baked beans, okay? Again, it's one of those things where we have a lot of something. You can only sell so much of it in jars, bowls, whatever the case may be. So you got to find another way to use it. So people start adding it into their baked beans as a filler. So this is something you might want to keep in the back of your mind when you're sitting there studying some of these meals, answering your questions, okay? It wouldn't be a class without me screwing something up. Number three, you have corn. Now, a lot of people may go, what does corn actually have to do with the Northeast and New England area? Well, remember, when the settlers were coming over from Europe over into our country, remember, there were Native Americans here. Native Americans flooded the New England area. So as they were coming over from Europe, they considered corn a food that was more for animals. They did not eat corn. However, the Indians started teaching the people how easily it grows, and sometimes when you got to eat some, you just got to put some in your belly, no matter what it is. So if you have a famine going on and the only thing that seems to grow is corn, what are you going to eat? Exactly. So something that you might want to think about when you see a lot of these dishes, you do see a level of corn which comes from the Native American heritage that was given to the settlers as they were coming into the United States. And last but not least, obviously, seafood, seafood, and oh, glorious seafood. There was plenty of seafood. One of my favorite places to go was near Salisbury Beach up in Boston, up near Boston, Massachusetts. And it was a little old place. I think it was like Clark something or another, or Salisbury Beach something or another. And they sold lobster. Literally, you walked up to a tank, not like Red Lobster where they got the beautiful tanks and stuff like that. No, no. These were just like tanks of water with lobsters in it. You walk up, you look down, you point at the one you want, say, I want that one. They pull that sucker up, they weigh it, they tell you how much it is, they take it to be boiled, and next thing you know, it comes right out to you. Great stuff. Awesome, awesome food. Clams. Now, this is one area where I wish I could be seeing you guys because I really wanted to do this in class, but be that as it may and where we are at this point, you can look this stuff up. Heavy, heavy clams, long neck, short neck clams. I know many of y'all were like, why the heck are they called long necks and stuff like that? Well, it's the type of way that they move around in the ocean and stuff like that, but that's something you can research because, again, I don't want to make these videos too long, but it's something that you can take a look at. Clams is a delicacy up in the New England area. Clam strips, fried and tastes absolutely delicious. The last bit of seafood I wanted to point out was the cod. I think I've mentioned this in class, but it bears repeating. Codfish is a very oily, fatty fish, very delicious. But one thing you got to remember is as you catch it and you begin flaying it, parasites actually live in the flesh. Okay, so when you have your fillet out and you've done deboned, you've taken the skin off, whatever the case may be, and you're cutting it into fillets, you must remember to actually go through. Most people do it with a pair of tweezers. Go through and pull these little parasites out. And I know many of you are thinking, "Oh my God, that's so disgusting." Many, uh, a lot of seafood actually have parasites that are either in the skin, skeletal structure, or stuff like that. The thing is because of being around in the ocean. Remember, not all the oceans are clean, which is a whole nother ball game for a whole nother story for a whole nother time. Okay. So one thing to consider is most of the time, they either die out as soon as the body begins decomposing. They die out, or in this situation with codfish, you're probably thinking, "Oh my God, what if I don't get all the parasites out?" It's going to be cooking at 400 and some degrees. Whatever's in it, it's gonna die. And the way I figured it, extra protein. So just some stuff that keep in mind as you're going through the New England area. Look into it, stuff like that. Great stuff. A lot of rich history. If I have time, I may come back to this particular area down the road if we do have time, depending on how long this goes on like this. But just something to keep in mind. Just remember, and as always, stay tuned and more to come. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.